Hey guys, let's get more news from Dallas Cowboys, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Dallas Cowboys are quickly approaching the 2024 regular season, but that doesn't mean they can't bring in new reinforcements. Former New York Jets D. Carl Lawson still needs a new team and is a free agency option. Blogging the Boys writer Brian Martin explored the possibility in a July 22 article. While Lawson's stock has fallen tremendously over the past 2 years, he may be perfect as a rotational pass rusher in Dallas. Behind Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, on the depth chart things are a bit murky with young/unproven players, Martin wrote. If for whatever reason they struggle in their backup roles in training camp/preseason, Dallas may need to look for some more proven outside help. While Lawson hasn't been quite the same dominant player he was earlier in his career after tearing his Achilles in 2021, and was a regularly healthy scratch with the Jets last season, he still has enough in the tank to help the Cowboys if they don't like what they see from their youngsters in training camp/preseason. Lawson is an intriguing option for 2 reasons: price and upside. While the concerns about Lawson are valid, he would be a low-risk move for the Cowboys. Lawson struggles after Achilles tear. After playing his college ball at Auburn, Lawson entered the NFL with the Cincinnati Bengals as a 4th-round pick in the 2017 NFL Draft. Lawson immediately impressed for the Bengals, racking up 8.5 sacks as a rookie. But as Pro Football Reference shows, the first of Lawson's injury issues appeared. The now 29-year-old tore his ACL in Week 8 of that year and missed the remainder of the season. Lawson returned in time for Week 1 of the 2019 season, but was still being worked into the mix. Lawson totaled 5 sacks in 12 games that year, before earning 5.5 sacks in 16 games in 2020. The following offseason, Lawson tested free agency and signed a 3-year, $45 million deal with the Jets. Unfortunately, Lawson tore his Achilles before the 2021 season began. While Lawson once again rebounded with a 7-sack season in 2022, the Jets' stacked defensive line became a problem in 2023. Lawson was barely able to get on the field, playing just 6 games. Cowboys could trade Micah Parsons. While Lawson is a potential addition, former Cowboys scout Brian Broaddus believes Parsons could leave Dallas. On the Love of the Star podcast, Broaddus explained that Parsons could be traded depending on Dak Prescott's next contract. Prescott could offer them a solution to try and get things done by taking less money. If they don't do that, I see Micah Parsons being potentially traded from this organization. Even though his contract is the furthest away from having to deal with it. There's tags and things like that you can use. My gut feeling is he might fetch the most draft capital of the 3 players, via trade, if that makes sense. The idea of Parsons leaving is probably hard to swallow for Cowboys fans, but the team has several elite players right now that require big paydays. If Dallas can't pay everyone accordingly, then something will have to give. The Dallas Cowboys have 3 cornerstone players that are entering the final year of their contracts in 2024. Dak Prescott's deal, which was worth $160 million over 4 years, is set to expire. Micah Parsons is in the 4th year of his rookie deal, though the Cowboys will likely pick up his 5th-year option in 2025. CeeDee Lamb, now in his 5th-year team option, is eyeing a massive payday after seeing the wide receiver market explode this offseason. When asked about his contract status, per Calvin Watkins of the Dallas Morning News, at his youth football camp this weekend, Lamb simply replied, "I'm not talking." This echoes what he expressed a couple of weeks ago at another youth camp of his. It's certainly commendable that Lamb wanted his youth camp to be focused on the kids, rather than his contract status. Behind the scenes, reports have surfaced that due to Lamb potentially holding out, the Cowboys are aiming to get his deal done first, before turning their attention to Prescott and Parsons. The Cowboys are set to report for training camp in Oxnard, California on Wednesday, July 24, with their first practice session on the 25th. Lamb has not reported to the team facility since the team's season ended in January, and he's not expected to report without a new deal in place. Lamb is set to make $17.99 million this season, and is eligible for the franchise tag in 2025, which would drive his salary up to $24.76 million. GameSport Key Stat: CeeDee Lamb set single-season franchise records in catches, 135, and receiving yards, 1,749, last season. Cowboys Executive Vice President Stephen Jones discussed the contract situation of his three big stars earlier this week on the Scoop City podcast, assuring that Dallas intends to sign all three. Well, those things take time. When you start stacking them up like that, it's a challenge. It's not that it's not doable, but you certainly got to have some give and take if you want to do that. For what it's worth, Dak Prescott will be at training camp this week, whether he has a new contract or not. However, Prescott recently said that he fully supports Lamb doing what he needs to do to get paid. The Cowboys have dealt with training camp holdouts in recent years, including Ezekiel Elliott back in 2019 and Zach Martin a year ago. Both players eventually received their contract extensions and reported to camp, and that still remains the most likely scenario with Lamb, even if contract talks haven't gotten as far as both sides would have liked. I know we talk about the market, and I get that your value is what the market says it is. He doesn't deserve it because he doesn't show up in the postseason. Prescott, who turns 31 on July 29, has 2 wins in 7 playoff appearances since 2017 via StatMuse. He has a 64.5% completion percentage and a 14-7 TDINT ratio over that span, in which the Cowboys have not made it out of the divisional round of the playoffs. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, are you excited about retaining Dak Prescott? Smith asked. Smith's commentary follows reports by Calvin Watkins of the Dallas Morning News that the Cowboys are prioritizing contract extension talks with wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, who is also set to be a free agent in 2025. Impasse might be the wrong word. In order to be at an impasse, one must first engage in some form of honest negotiations. As far as anyone can tell, negotiations between Dak Prescott and the Cowboys have been non-existent over most of the offseason. The Cowboys' Pro Bowl signal caller is entering the final year on his deal. Never one to shy away from betting on himself, Prescott is prepared to play out the season without an extension if that's the way things go. Such a situation would almost assuredly result in Prescott leaving Dallas in 2025, since the Cowboys will be unable to franchise tag him and the open market promises riches nearly beyond comprehension. The lack of conversation throughout the offseason itself isn't something to worry about because Cowboys' front office is somewhat notorious for procrastinating matters such as this. They like the urgency of the 11th hour rather than engaging in prolonged negotiations. With any luck, talks will heat up in training camp, but it appears they have a long way to go until common ground is found. If Prescott is indeed playing his last season in Dallas, there are a few unavoidable repercussions the Cowboys will face. It's something even the most ardent critic of Prescott should cringe at and something everyone should be prepared for as long as his status remains in limbo.